man's works since time began, a few stand out as unsurpassed achievements. Looking back on men's labours, later judgments have recognised a short list of the most inspired and monumental works of the past ages. The 7 wonders of the ancient world. Later achievements have been named as the 7 wonders of the modern world, though with less unanimity. Various lists differ, but they usually include the Great Wall of China, the Leaning Tower of Pisa, and the Colosseum at Rome. This present-day city, Sydney, Australia, is the site of a new achievement raised by the hands and skills and minds of man. Its beautiful harbour provides a superb setting for a monumental work of architecture and construction that has been described as the 8th wonder of the world. Great curving shells on the water's edge represent the sails of pleasure craft. No public building anywhere has a more splendid setting. Standing on a peninsula, it has the waters of the harbour on 3 sides. The Sydney Opera House is more, much more, than simply an opera theatre. It is unique in appearance, majestic in concept, and an astonishing feat of construction. Great curtains of topaz glass fill the mouths of the huge shells. An acre and a half of glass, cast in Europe and laminated in 2 layers for strength and noise reduction. The varied sizes of the 2,000 panes were calculated exactly by a computer. An army of men went to work to finish the interior painting as the structure neared completion. Thousands of gallons of paint of the highest quality were used, and nobody stopped to count up the figures. Paint for protection and a clean finish rather than decoration. Indeed, most of the painting is in greys and whites, and black for the purpose of absorbing light in certain areas, and pastels in dressing rooms. Paint for corridors, service pipes, utility areas, and for hundreds of rooms. An intricate control panel belonging to one of 8 complete electroacoustical systems to provide sound reinforcement in the various theatres and halls. Scientifically designed to amplify and distribute sound evenly through the biggest auditoriums, without impairing the quality of the sound. Electroacoustical systems also serve the main rehearsal and recital rooms, and some are admirably suited for use as recording studios. both in acoustical characteristics and in the provision of wiring and other services. There are nearly 1,000 rooms in the Opera House structure, counting offices and service rooms. The rehearsal rooms began to be peopled as the time approached for the Opera House to become a living, working entity. The New South Wales Dance Company, a dedicated and ambitious group, limber up in ideal conditions. The electroacoustical equipment deals faithfully with the widest range of frequencies. There are other sophisticated systems, including fire detection, prevention and warning apparatus. Electronic sensors would detect incipient fire and set off alarms. The air conditioning plant, looking as formidable as a ship's engine room. $3 million worth of machinery, capable of changing the air in the theatres 8 times an hour. These guns, protruding from ports in the concert hall, are the air conditioning outlets. A worm's eye view in the lofty 2,700-seat concert hall. Acoustic clouds, made of a transparent plastic, have the practical purpose of adjusting the acoustical qualities of the chamber. Controls for the acoustic clouds and speaker column are 80 feet above the stage. The speaker system was carefully designed to radiate sound with equal intensity to all seats in the auditorium. Tenders were invited throughout the world, but the contract was won by an Australian company, Amalgamated Wireless Australasia Limited. AWA's project engineer was Mr. Wesley Moon, and Mr. Peter Hall, the design architect. Native Australian timbers were chosen for the Opera House, with laminated brush box used for floors and walls. The Timber Advisory Council advised the architects and recommended white birch and yellow carabine, both fine cabinet timbers for other facing plywoods. Dovetailing is part of the craftsmanship lavished on the treatment of rich-looking timbers. Concrete ribs produce a stark beauty of their own, described as giving an impression of Aztec architecture. The fourth of the main halls is for chamber music and motion pictures and accommodates 420. Rich woolen carpet leads to the 1,550-seat opera theatre, which is not devoted exclusively to opera, but will house ballet, musicals and other entertainments. Australian artist John Coburn designed a curtain of the sun for the auditorium. It was woven in France of Australian wools. The Opera Theatre has been given the most modern backstage equipment and stage machinery. The main acting area consists of a fascinating mechanism of revolves and elevators. Settings can be rigged in the depths of the theatre on electrically driven trucks, rolled into position and raised to stage level, a distance of 3 stories. Versatile and speedy in operation, the mechanisms can make theatrical magic. The Opera Theatre will provide a worthy setting for the internationally acclaimed Australian ballet. Lucette Aldous and Garth Welsh are two of its stars. Two more of the company's headliners, Marilyn Rowe and Kelvin Coe. The 550-seat drama theatre's Curtain of the Moon was also designed by John Coburn and fashioned at Aubusson in France. Elaborate stage lighting is operated from a control board with 160 circuits. Lighting changes are set in advance and actuated automatically by magnetically stored cues. The walls are painted dark grey and the ceiling black. The ceiling is made of anodized aluminium and refrigerated to ensure that the auditorium does not become too hot. Equipped for all sorts of plays, light comedy or heavy drama, the theatre's machinery includes a double revolve, a turntable with an inner disc which can rotate independently or together. Behind the scenes, the multi-purpose opera house requires a range of administrative and technical skills. The controlling body is the Opera House Trust. The chairman, Sir Philip Baxter, presides at a meeting, attended by the general manager, Mr. Frank Barnes, and Sir Asher Joel, heading a citizens' committee which organised the opening ceremonies.
Trustees, I declare the meeting open, and before we go on to our agenda, which is fairly short today, I would like to call your attention to the recent program which has just been issued, which I'm sure you've seen, setting out the activities up to the end of this year, after the official opening in September and October. I wonder if the General Manager has any comments that he would like to make on it.
Chairman, I think I would like to say to trustees that this program has been well received because it does show that we are offering a wide variety of entertainments in the Opera House.
The general program, I think, leads one naturally to consider the opening festival and, of course, the royal opening. I wonder if Sir Asher has anything to report to the Trust about that.
Well, generally the arrangements are going very favourably. I think the most important thing, of course, sir, is the tremendous interest which is being shown by overseas newspapers and inquiries which, typical of these, from South Africa, came in only today from all over the world.
Yehudi Menuhin praised the qualities of the great concert hall. A very live sound, a wonderful hall, and acoustically one of the best in the world, Menuhin said. mural in the northern foyer creates great interest. One of the few artworks ever expressly created to be seen by night. It sleeps during the day, says the artist John Olson, and awakes after dark. The huge and versatile structure serves many uses, including conferences and conventions. Consequently, the electroacoustical systems handle simultaneous language translation for up to 5 languages.
De la Convention de 1973 de la Fédération des maîtres constructeurs de l'Australie.
Sono molto soddisfatto che la riunione venga a svolgersi aperta in questo simbolo internazionale della costruzione internazionale.
This superb building now stands as a tribute to the skill of all the Australians and those from other countries who were involved in creating it.
Sa grandeur est seulement surpassée par celle du port qu'elle embellira dans les siècles à venir.
If necessary, a convention can be accommodated in more than one of the major halls, with everyone linked to the centre of activity by closed-circuit television. One of the first occasions saw delegates assemble for the World Convention of Dentists. Aborigines from the far northwest of the continent were flown to Sydney to do tribal dances in a short Australian opera. The work was produced by Stephen Hard, a Viennese-born man of the theatre, who has contributed much to the theatrical life of his adopted country. The Aborigines brought their own clays to the city for makeup. A Rigi desk, plugged into the electroacoustical system, remotely controls the main console, and thereby the sound distributed in the auditorium. Early concerts at the Opera House drew on the varied heritage of migrant groups for colourful performances called the National Folkloric Festival. The name, the Sydney Opera House, is in a sense a misnomer. For though it does contain an opera theatre, it is in reality a centre for the performing arts. Today, a symphony concert. Tomorrow, it might be Eric Jupp, or Dave Brubeck, or Carol Burnett. The concert hall gives the Australian Broadcasting Commission a permanent home for the Sydney Symphony Orchestra. But it also provides a fitting venue for distinguished visitors, conductors, soloists or orchestras. You can eat there day or night, in a restaurant or a cafeteria, or out of doors on a boardwalk and overlooking the water. On some nights, there will be more than 7,000 people present on Bennelong Point, one of two promontories enclosing Sydney Cove, and named after the Aborigine adopted as an interpreter by the commander of the first settlers, Captain Arthur Phillip of the Royal Navy. The Sydney Opera House has the space and the services for gala occasions, a big premiere, a celebrity charity night, or a dinner and cabaret. You can have a ball at the Opera House, as did Friends of the Australian Opera when they danced on the stage of the Opera Theatre. There will be other events in the exhibition spaces, but probably nothing more appropriate than a World Theatre exhibition staged for the opening of the complex. Gathered from all over the globe, the exhibition testified to the universality of the theatrical arts and their importance to the human spirit.
Come to the Sydney Opera House if you need in the world. From Bennelong Point Harbour, like sails unfurled, sails unfurled. See it from the air, see it from the harbour, from the quay, from the bridge, see it spear and splinter the sun. Stand and marvel, how was it ever begun? Here's the way it started, slowly, gathering momentum, slowly, let's go, forming the committee, November 54, to pick the best available opera house sites from 30 sites or more. When the site was chosen...
Nice. How do you think the opera house song will go with the audience in there?
Well, it's a fantastic arrangement.
I sat 3 rows back from the stage, and then just to check myself, I went right to the back of the hall. I had goose pimples from top to tail.
I think it gets all the points in that I was after to try and tell the whole story of the construction of the thing, and it really lifts you.
It must be a great thrill for you to be the first artist selected to appear in the concert hall.
Well, it's the thrill of my life, really, to this moment. It's a tremendous thrill. The problem was being an Australian, being the first one in here doing the light entertainment concert, was what to do, actually, the program. Don't put any powder on me, will you? Because it drives me mad. And don't get me looking too flash.
Promise.
To the Sydney Opera House, see the sails unfurl.
And it came to pass, after many long years of pains and labours, that the inspiration transformed into reality was ready for an official opening. In a carnival of gaiety and colour, music and spectacle, the great sail-topped structure was launched ceremonially. Majesty Queen Elizabeth proclaims its completion. There it stands on the water's edge, a thing of beauty, a new symbol for a great city, an achievement, a masterpiece, an architectural wonder, and a practical working building dedicated to the arts that uplift the hearts and minds of mankind. A true wonder of the world.
Командир Энской части, подполковник